A naked, bloodied woman is running around Kharkiv with a knife in her hand and a severed head in a bag. Such horrifying footage began to spread across the internet at the end of April 2020. Law enforcement detained the woman, but her identity and how she got into the situation were not immediately known. Just a few hours later, the police received a call from a man who reported that he had found the decapitated body of his 30-year-old niece in his house. If you can, make yourselves comfortable, dear ones, because this is terrifying. The man who reported the discovered body turned out to be the brother of 38-year-old Tetiana Pianova, this very woman who was detained by law enforcement in the morning, and the decapitated girl was her daughter. Forensic experts found around 75 stab wounds on Christina Pianova's body. More than 20 of them were inflicted on the head and face. But what could have caused such a brutal crime? Especially against his own daughter. Well, let's try to figure it out. Ms. Tetiana Pianova came from a large disadvantaged family where in particular alcohol abuse was not considered a bad habit, but rather kind of like a tradition.
The family was disadvantaged. They had a large family. There was a brother, one who was killed, and another brother who is now drinking. One brother drinks now, another is deaf and mute, and the parents were alcoholics. They were always poor.
Given those stories, it's no surprise Tetiana began drinking young. That didn't stop her from meeting a man named Vitaly after she turned 20. They fell in love, moved in together apart from Tetiana's parents, and soon she learned she was pregnant. And from that moment on, everything in her life changed dramatically. She stopped drinking and focused on her future child. Later, she gave birth to a girl whom she named Christina. However, Tetiana's life with her daughter's father didn't work out. Some sources say the couple separated when Christina was 3. But others claim that Vitalik and Tanya lived together for less than a year. During that time, the woman kicked the man out about 4 times before he left for good. The couple considered getting back together, but it never happened. Vitaly did not take an active part in raising Christina, but he sometimes saw her and helped with money when he could. After the breakup, Tetiana and Christina returned to their parents' home in the village of Pitvirka, which is a few kilometers from Kharkiv. At that time, the woman's parents had died, but her brother Anton still lived there and drank heavily. Another brother, Alexei, who was deaf and unable to speak, also lived there. Tetiana and Christina moved in with them. They didn't really have a choice. All the relatives were legally entitled to a share of the house, but the family didn't have enough money to sell the property and buy something separate for everyone. So, altogether, they somehow lived like that for about 10 years. During this time, life wasn't easy. They were constantly short of money. Tanya was the only one in the family who worked. The woman got a job at the local factory and had 2 additional side jobs. A family friend said Anton skipped work and often beat his sister. In addition, he took things out of the house, brought home friends who were alcoholics, and even harassed the growing Christina. And by harassed, I mean sexual harassment. Like, he could pinch her buttocks or invite her to lie in bed together. Tetiana made multiple complaints about her brother to law enforcement. However, no one responded to these statements at all. Despite all the family problems, neighbors recall that Christina always looked very neat. She worked hard, behaved well, and always attended class. And in general, she grew up to be a calm and, you could say, positive child, despite what was happening in her home. Tanya took care of her. She took her to kindergarten and later enrolled her in the local lyceum. She regularly went to parent-teacher meetings and seemed fine as a mom. She had her quirks, but no one remembered the mother ever treating her daughter badly. At least, nothing was seen. This was also confirmed by the fact that no one had ever sent any complaints to social services about the mother mistreating Christina. April 29th, 2020 was an ordinary day. Tetiana came back from work around 11 p.m., maybe even a little later. Her daughter met her, and they entered the house together. An hour later, the video cameras recorded Tetiana Pianova leaving the house with a bag in her hands. She walked towards Kharkiv all night and managed to cover 6 kilometers during that time. By morning, Tetiana decided to undress. Around 6 in the morning, on the outskirts of Kharkiv, people going to work noticed a naked, bloodied woman with a knife in one hand and a bag in the other. Someone reported the strange woman to the police, but no one knew just how not only strange but truly horrifying this case would turn out to be. Patrol officers found Tetiana on Zalyutinska Street. Seeing the police, she waved a knife and tried to flee. They managed to detain her only after reinforcements arrived, which, by the way, consisted of as many as 4 police crews. Random passers-by were able to record this moment on video and uploaded it to YouTube. When the law enforcement officers finally managed to take the bag from the woman and look inside, it wasn't just simple surprise, it was real shock, because inside was the bloody head of a teenage girl. An investigative team was immediately called to the scene. The woman was detained, and the incident's circumstances were clarified. However, she flatly refused to say who she was, what had happened to her, or how the head of an as yet unidentified child ended up in her bag. Later, an examination would show that despite her strange behavior, Tetiana was sober and had not taken anything the day before. I mean, no strange substances or alcohol. A few hours after the woman's detention, at 8:25 in the morning, Tetiana's brother Anton called the police. He said that when he woke up in the morning and went into his niece's room, he found her decapitated body there. Soon, law enforcement officers determined that the head in the detained woman's bag and the body found in the yard belonged to the same person, specifically to a child. That day, a court hearing began to choose a preventive measure for Tetiana Pianova. The woman was considered the sole and main suspect in the case. She entered the courtroom barefoot and naked. However, she wrapped herself in a bedsheet. Tetiana behaved inappropriately. She called her daughter a mistake of her youth.
It's a mistake of youth. I fooled around at 16 and got pregnant. What else should I tell you? What else should I tell you? If you know too much, it's not good. And my daughter's name is not Christina, it's Eva, just so you know. That's all. Any questions? No questions. And soon there will be Adam Chick, and everything is fine.
During the hearing, the woman was rude to the judge, officers, and journalists. She told them not to touch her, saying they didn't give birth to her. Well, she also said that she doesn't recognize any verdicts because God's judgment awaits her. In addition, the suspect tried to convince everyone present that her last name is not Pianova, but something else entirely, and claimed that she's not going to listen to the judge. Since he uses another person's last name for her, they're not referring to her.
Don't push me! Did you give birth to me? Why are you touching me?
Yes, the suspect Pianova. I'm not Pianova. Where did you get that information?
I'm telling you again, I won't listen. If the conversation isn't about me, I won't listen.
Can you be quiet for a moment?
I don't want to listen. Do you understand that I don't want to listen?
Be quiet for a moment and just listen to me for a minute.
I'm not gonna listen to you because I'm not the person you think I am. Can you explain how that happened? Do you remember? Ask the judge.
You yelled at him very loudly. Why? Why? Don't ask questions like in kindergarten. Are we going to go around in circles for the 3rd time? And what kind of God is it that you believe in?
Who do you believe in? Do you believe in Zelensky? But Zelensky is a thief, a crook on our land.
We talked to your neighbors and they said you had a good relationship in your family and that you loved your daughter very much. How did this happen?
I don't have any neighbors. What girl did I love? What girl? Christina. Have you already made up names? I don't want to talk to anyone. Leave me alone.
You don't have to talk. Just take a seat. That's all.
I have every right to stand. And to save me? He took the child's soul last night. My child, I was left without my child. To save me. And you are a fascist, forcing us to accept your faith.
The woman's behavior indicated that she urgently needed psychiatric help. During the trial, they couldn't calm Tetiana down, so the judge retired to the deliberation room to deliver the verdict. Tetiana's lawyers requested 24-hour house arrest for her. Meanwhile, the prosecutor demanded that the suspect be kept in custody until the next hearing. This option was supported by the judge, who ordered the university to keep Tetiana Pianova in custody for 60 days without the right to post bail. The woman's defenders tried to appeal this decision, but her sentence was upheld. Shortly after the hearing, new facts in the case were made public. Tetiana allegedly inflicted more than 20 stab wounds on her daughter, and after her death, cut off her head, put it in a bag, and left the crime scene. Investigators believed that while delivering the blows, the woman was fully aware of the severe suffering she was causing the girl, her own daughter. However, that did not stop her. Later, information appeared in the press that an examination revealed not 20 but as many as 75 stab wounds on Christina's body. 25 of them were inflicted on the girl's face and head. Also, the wounds were caused by multiple knives, not just one. Prosecutor Yevhen Sokolov, who was handling this case, reported that the suspects will undergo about 30 examinations, including a psychiatric one, in order to determine her mental state at the moment of the crime and immediately after it. The prosecutor added that Tetiana is the only suspect in the case, and if the woman is found sane, she will most likely spend the rest of her life behind bars. And while law enforcement continued to investigate the circumstances of the case, journalists went out into the courtyards to talk to the local residents. Their comments turned out to be quite ambiguous. Many people did not believe that Tetiana could have so cruelly taken the life of her own daughter.
Honestly, I don't believe it. A mother always defends her daughter. Something happened in that house. She has 2 brothers there who are heavy drinkers. Maybe they gave her something. She couldn't have done that. She raised her very well. The child didn't lack anything. She worked 3 jobs, dressed her daughter nicely. The only thing is, she was emotional. If someone offended Christina, she would run to the school and argue and yell at all the kids everywhere. And she always said that she lived only for Christina.
Some people also expressed theories that Christina was killed by her own uncles and said that they themselves were afraid of a gruesome reprisal.
People familiar with this family often believe the mother and girl are victims of the alcoholic and drug-addicted men living there. I think that Tanya and her daughter were brutally abused by their own men. It would be good if the investigation figured it out, and not like it always does. It's very easy to blame everything on a woman. You don't even have to try hard. Do you think the neighbors aren't afraid to speak on camera? They could also be found with their heads cut off.
Some also noticed the woman's odd behavior before the crime.
Shortly before the murder, Pianova gave her brother the icons she had kept. After she took down the icons, she asked not to be questioned about it. She replied that it was her secret.
Lately she said that her father had been coming to her in her dreams. And her father isn't well right now, so maybe she dreamed about her father.
The neighbors said Tetiana covered all the mirrors in black cloth, which is usually done when someone has died in the house. At that time, the entire Pianov family was still alive. On the air of Govoriti Ukraina, the family's acquaintances said that Christina herself noticed that something was wrong with her mother. The girl even tried to explain this to her deaf-mute uncle using sign language. However, I don't know if this information is reliable. People also said that surveillance cameras recorded how someone approached Tetiana's house. That day, a stranger entered. It was assumed that it could have been her cousin, who in 2004 killed his own father and grandmother. But he was sent to prison for 15 years, and recently he was released and came to visit. A suspicious person, absolutely. There was a theory that he could also have been involved in Christina's murder. However, most of the residents still didn't notice anything unusual on the eve of the crime. Tetiana went to the local store that evening. Her mental state at that time was completely normal. Neighbors said the Pianov house was quiet that night. There were no loud screams or crying coming from the house, basically nothing at all. The lights stayed on for a long time, and the local dogs seemed restless. It is unknown where the other residents of the house were at the time of the crime. Tetiana's brother Oleksiy said he is sure his sister is innocent.
I don't believe that Tanya killed her daughter. I saw how my sister loves and adores her.
The other brother, Anton, the one who drinks a lot, refused to comment on the situation. Christina's father, who attended her funeral, did speak out. According to Vitaly, he saw his ex-wife and daughter just a few weeks before the tragedy. The girl was cheerful, her mother kissed her, and everything seemed fine. Christina sang for her, and Tetiana suggested that their daughter attend music school, to which the child gladly agreed. But despite this, Vitaly said that something in Tetiana's behavior still seemed strange to him.
The last time I was with the child, she said, "I can even see right through my daughter. It's impossible to deceive me." She says, "I even look people straight in the eyes and can tell what they're thinking."
Christina's burial took place on May 5th, 2020. She was laid in the coffin in her wedding dress. The villagers collected money to put up a monument for the girl. They decided to bury her next to her best friend, who died in a road accident. On the day of Christina's funeral, journalist Anna Yurchenko posted on her Facebook page, In it, the woman shared what she learned from the neighbors. Tetiana still allowed herself to drink a little too much from time to time, and in those moments she showed aggression. The woman was reportedly a lesbian and lived with another woman for 9 years. It says that shortly before the tragedy, Tetiana fell in love with Christina's teacher. She constantly went to the school to see her, actually. In short, she was bothering her, and eventually the school principal even threatened that if Tetiana didn't stop, they would file a report to the police against her. Because of this, the journalist suggested that Tetiana might have been jealous of her daughter towards the teacher, and because of that, could have taken her life. However, the investigation does not comment on this version of events in any way, so most likely these are just rumors. There were also other unconfirmed speculations about the case. A post with photo screenshots of a conversation began circulating online, showing Tetiana's brother Alexei allegedly discussing a different version of the crime than the official account. According to the people in the conversation, someone else might be involved in Christina's murder. An unknown person killed the girl in front of her mother, causing Tetiana to lose her mind. Despite this, law enforcement again said the investigation has no reason to believe anyone besides Christina's mother is involved in her murder. So let's get back to the facts. At the end of September 2020, the results of the examination were ready. They said Tetiana was found insane. After that, the Kharkiv District Court decided to hospitalize the woman in a psychiatric facility for compulsory treatment.
According to the conclusion of the forensic psychiatric expert, the suspect, during the period of the alleged offense, suffered and still suffers from a chronic mental illness that deprived her of the ability to understand her actions and control them. Now, according to the evidence available to law enforcement, I can state that the guilt of the suspect has been fully proven.
The woman must undergo treatment until the experts determine that she has recovered and is aware of where she is and what is actually happening to her. If this happens, Tetiana will face another trial, which will determine the length of her sentence. However, based on her condition, it appears the woman will remain in the hospital for life. It is known that as of 2021, Tetiana was in a high-security psychiatric hospital in the city of Dnipro. From there, she sent letters to her friend almost every other day, in which she wrote that she would soon return home because her hospital was being closed. Of course, these were just her fantasies. However, Tetiana's fellow villagers were frightened by such messages because it was the height of COVID, and at that time, some psychiatric institutions were indeed being closed. What is happening with Tetiana now is unknown. However, since there is no news, I assume that she is still undergoing compulsory treatment. Well, dear ones, that's the kind of creepy case from the City of the Sun. Take care of yourselves, your family, and your loved ones. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye.